This is Fox 13 News at 5.
And I'm hearing the sounds of explosion right now.
Now on Fox 13, a full-scale Russian invasion underway in Ukraine. Over 100 reported missile strikes and parts of the country already sieged by the Kremlin. How a war half a world away from Seattle will impact all of us.
Plus, Washington state legislation in Olympia is making governors in other western states mad. How a gas tax here will impact residents of other states.
And a community in King County seeing a spike in homicides. Hear one family's plea to law enforcement to bring justice. Fox 13 News starts right now.
War in Europe, something the world has not seen in almost a century. Russian President Vladimir Putin launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, starting in the sky and now by foot. Thank you for joining us for the News at 5. I'm Hannah Kim.
And I'm David Rose. Within the last hour, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ordering full military mobilization to counter the Russian invasion. The president also saying that 137 Ukrainian soldiers are dead so far.
And today, the U.S. and other NATO countries making financial moves against Russia.
President Joe Biden addressing the nation and the world today, adding more sanctions against Russia. Those sanctions are against Russian banks that hold about $1 trillion in assets. They cut off Russia's largest bank from America, meaning they cannot access their money stored in the U.S.
And the Russian elites also hit hard. President Biden wants them to feel the financial pain from war.
This is a premeditated attack. Vladimir Putin has been planning this for months, as we've been saying all along.
President Biden says the most powerful impacts of these moves will come over time, straining Russia of its finance and technology.
As the West reacts, bombs rain down on Ukrainian cities. A report of more than 100 missiles have hit cities across the entire country. Those missiles forcing residents to flee for safety. Residents of Kharkiv took shelter in the city's subway system. The footage showing the tunnel filling up with locals, including many children who plan to stay there overnight.
Russian troops moving from the air to the ground. An advisor to the Ukraine president says Russian troops have taken control of the Chernobyl nuclear site, which is the world's worst nuclear power plant accident. Russia's control of the facility is now raising concerns of an ecological disaster. The takeover is being called one of the most serious threats in Europe today.
We have local team coverage tonight. Right now, Alejandra Guzman is at the Seattle Center. Ukrainians are holding an anti-war rally.
But first, we head to Steve Kiggins, who spoke with Seattle Ukrainians, some who have family that are in the war-torn country right now. Steve, just pretty devastating.
Yeah, devastating is the right word to describe it. Folks out here, at least 100 gathered here at Red Square, right here on the UW campus, to stand together in solidarity for their homeland, the Ukraine. We also spoke with one woman who once instructed here on campus. Well, right now she's back in Kiev as the bombs fall.
Ukraine is going to win this war, and Russia and Putin are going to lose.
Brian Bennett joined dozens of people wrapped in the Ukrainian flag at UW's Red Square, holding on to hope and each other as their homeland falls again into crisis.
We all have friends and family who are dying and who are possibly going to be killed. And the least that we can do here in the U.S. is take the strongest possible measures to stop Putin and what he's doing.
It's hard to believe that is surreal is real and it's actually war.
Yana Sabliash used to work at the University of Washington. Today she's in the Ukrainian capital where bombs are falling. She and her husband are ready to flee to shelter at a moment's notice.
And I'm hearing the sounds of explosion right now.
Well, it's scary because there's no safe areas.
A world away is 17-year-old high school junior Sofia Kovalenko. She's from Newcastle. She joined today's rally at Red Square while her family in Ukraine face war.
My grandpa, he's 70 years old. He has like one kidney, health problems. And just the other day after the bombing in Kyiv, he signed up to join a local militia. And he was on the phone and I hear him saying, like, I've lived a long life. If I die so that my kids that live here could have a chance and other kids that live here could have a chance, like my life will be fulfilled.
So many of the folks that we met here today from the Ukraine, they've been through crisis before. They'll They tell us they will stand in solidarity again as long as it takes and pray for the safety of their homeland and their country. We're live in Seattle. Steve Kiggins, Fox 13 News.
Ukrainian refugees are flooding across the border of Poland to escape the Russian attack. People are seen carrying as many belongings as they can, as they do not know when they will be able to return home.
And you know, old friends, everybody is in Kyiv now, and they are calling us and telling what is going on, and it's awful. My husband told me that I'm panicking, and it won't happen, and now it's true, and this is absolutely incredible.
Germany is also offering support to Poland as Eastern Europe is facing an influx of refugees. German media is estimating between 200,000 and 1 million Ukrainians will flee.
Leaving on foot or cars, the only way they can get out as well. This flight radar map showing the Ukrainian airspace is closed to civilian flights. This as Russia captures multiple airports. And many Russian citizens do not agree with the move of President Putin. So far, a reported 1,700 Russians have been detained over anti-war rallies in that country. They could face jail time for, quote, insulting the government. Demonstrations took place in locations such as Moscow and St. Petersburg.
And here in Puget Sound, Ukrainian Americans rallying today to push a message of stopping and ending this invasion.
Right now, Alejandra Guzman joins us from one of those rallies near the Space Needle. It's a pretty emotional event, Alejandra.
Hannah, David, it really is. You can see that this rally here has begun to grow here at the Seattle Center. Both Ukrainian and Russian Americans rallying to stop the war. Now, this video here shows you signs that are flying high with messages like "Stop Putin," "World, Ukraine needs help," "Pray for Ukraine," "United we stand, divided we fall." And here live, you can hear the sounds of people in support honking as they drive past. It is an emotional turnout as Ukrainians watch the Russian invasion unfold on their phones, some of them going hours without hearing from their loved ones who are taking shelter. As they wrap themselves in their homeland's flag, they brace themselves for the uncertainty that lies ahead. Russian Americans are here standing by their neighbors, showing Ukrainians they don't all agree with Putin. This rally comes as residents from both countries say they're torn by the invasion.
My hopes that today's rally will be able to channel some of our feeling to some actions. I am far from believing that we will stop the war right here when all the world failed to do so. But if we can ease suffer for some Ukrainians, if we can provide meaningful help for some families, if we can make the day when the war criminal Putin faces justice by one day, that means we made the difference today.
We have been having this issue for the last, since 2014, and I think it is important for them to stand up against the person who they have been choosing. I understand that he's a dictator, but if they don't do anything right now themselves, their own people are going to be dying because they're already dying on our land as the invaders, and it's gonna get worse for Russia as well, just because a lot of European countries will not support this kind of behavior. We don't want like a third world war.
As you may recall, tensions remain since 2014. Ukrainians say history has prepared them for this fight. Still, many fear for their loved ones who refuse to leave. Their message to Americans: you too can help by writing to your legislators, asking them to support Ukraine. While President Biden has warned that Americans can pay the cost of this war, well, they say that the cost of gas prices is better than a full-blown war. Right now, Russians here are preparing to help the Ukrainian Red Cross, and this demonstration isn't over. They're walking from here, the Space Needle, all the way to Fisher Pavilion. We're going to stay put right here and bring you those images and the very latest as it unfolds coming up. For now, live in Seattle Center, I'm Alejandra Guzman. Back to you.
Thank you, Alejandra. People also monitoring stocks in the U.S. and Europe very closely, as the invasion will impact market prices and likely cause more inflation. A dramatic swing on Wall Street, stocks closing higher after big losses. Tech and growth stocks were among the gainers, while financials fell. The Dow was up 92, the Nasdaq gained 436, and the S&P 500 added 63. The European stocks closed 3% lower.
Coming up later in the broadcast at 4:30, what could it look like if Russia takes actions against the U.S. and launches a cyber attack?
The co-founder of cybersecurity company Critical Insight answers questions about how the U.S. is preparing for that.
And you can continue to follow this developing story online and on our Fox 13 News app. It's free on Google Play and the App Store.
26 degrees expected tonight because of clear skies. So once again, we're going to be watching out for some icy pockets in the area. Not quite record breaking, but I'll show you what the record is for tomorrow morning coming up.
Plus, a noose found at a Seattle fire station. What the fire chief is saying about the disturbing discovery.
And war of words between Western governors, why they're arguing over taxes impacting each other's residents, what it could mean for consumers here. Next.